All right. Thanks for raising the bar, Mika. Sam has figured it out. Here it comes. Holy moly. But I'm really excited to be invited to speak here, and all the more remarkable because Mika does know that I can like a stage and a microphone a little too much. But luckily I'm on the clock, so you should all be safe. The product team approach, loving your technology, the product team approach, and like he said, this is about social sector organizations. So we're talking about nonprofits, NGOs, foundations, social enterprise, government. And just to give me a sense, just a quick show of hands, how many people either in the past or currently have worked at that sort of organization, social sector organization? Most of the crowd. Okay. And when you think about the context of that organization, how many of you could say, yeah, we really had our systems figured out. We loved our technology. Right. Right. It's laughable, right? It's laughable. It's absurd. Of course not. Of course we didn't love our technology. No, our systems didn't speak to each other, our databases, and oh God, our website system is clunky, and I never could see a picture of my donor or my constituents, right? It was a mess. We've come to think that this is normal, right? This is our expectations for technology, is that it's going to get in the way of what we're trying to do, of the impact that we're trying to have. Consider for a second how absurd that is, that we think that's normal, right? We have to demand better, right? It's pretty simple. Your technology should work, and it should provide you value. And the first step in getting to where you love your technology is demanding that your technology is good, is at that level. You are worthy of love from your technology, right? And the first step is demanding it. And just like love in a relationship, you can only expect to get love out of something, out of a relationship, if you're investing love in, and that's sort of at the heart of this approach. The same thing applies to technology. Okay, so why am I talking about this? Why do I work on this? Well, so I've been in nonprofit technology for a lot of my life. I've built a whole lot of stuff at organizations and in consulting work, working with other organizations, and great projects. I'm sure a lot of you recognize this. They launch and sometimes they do great for a little while, and then they tend to wither on the vine. And I was working with IAVA here in New York City. In fact, we have Jacob Worrell here from IAVA and others, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, a terrific organization. And we were building this incredible product called My IVA. It's something that's in pilot now. Veterans can go there, they can connect with each other, they can host events called Vet Togethers, which is very cute. Actually, Jessica Shear is here too, big part of the Vet Together origin. And connect with the organization and make use of their services. And as we were building this, I'm thinking, this is so cool. This needs to live on. I don't want this to die after a number of months, right? And how do we do that? So we started looking around. What are the models? And whiteboarding, I've never met a whiteboard I didn't like. And tons of presentation decks. And I started talking to friends in other industries. I sat down with a friend at Pixar. And we landed on this really simple model eventually, which is we're not at all the first people to land on, which is a product team. A basic team full of product managers. It's a model that exists plenty of places, but this is how we've adapted it to the social sector in a simple and achievable way. It's a very simple concept. A product team, a team of product managers with a product manager in charge of each essential tech product to the organization. Simple, but profound in impact. And why do we need a team? We need a team because we are past the level of sophistication with our technology where we can just say, okay, the tech guy in the back room or the tech woman or the tech team, they're going to take care of all things technology. And that'll be fine. We'll be able to sustain it that way. We have to admit that we have to do better. So that's where this model came from. So I'm going to talk about a couple little elements here, the people and the level of investment that you need and the style of investment. So as unintuitive as it may be, actually a lot of you in this room already know, doing great technology is actually all about people. People is the whole ballgame, right? Sometimes people turn off their brain and say, oh, I don't understand technology. No, it's about people. It's about putting the right people in the right situations. And specifically, it's about building your internal capacity as an organization, right? It is not about the secret treasure map from the external consultant who comes in and hands you the map, and then you walk along the dotted line and left at the palm tree, right? Because in technology, things are always changing. What if that palm tree is not there anymore, right? It got upgraded. Or two palm trees that look identical but slightly different feature sets and license. So, okay, stretching the analogy too far, but you get the point. What you want is your own team of crack treasure hunters to go react to what's on the ground in front of you. You want a team inside your walls whose brains are on the case every day and are steering you through the choppy waters to the end game. And specifically that team, does that mean we're going to hire a whole bunch of developers? No. In almost every case in the social sector, you can't and you wouldn't necessarily even want to. But what you cannot outsource is the brains of your product. And that's product manager. And this is a thing. This exists. If you want to Google product manager, there's a lot of resources available about what a product manager do. And it's apparently one of the most popular, fastest growing disciplines at universities these days. The youths are doing it. And, and it's a big job. You're synthesizing all this key stuff, all these important things. Someone's got to think about that stuff. And if someone's not thinking about all these things and synthesizing them into a clear product roadmap, is it any wonder that things go off the rails? And the last thing to point out about this is it's not especially technical, this job. This is more strategic, right? It's more about knowing what your organization is trying to accomplish and steering that product down that road. You're not looking for the super coder. You're looking for a strategic ally in this work. And so because of that, a lot of times when we're working with organizations to implement this model, they'll say, well, who can we hire? Can you help us hire? Can you help us, write up a job description? And that's great if you can get someone external who's a good fit. But you can also find often people inside your walls already who know your business well, have relationships, and want to geek out on this. And you can really grow internal talent. Usually when you ask someone, they say, who would be great at that is Jane. She would be great at that. You may have that inside your walls. Just quickly, I'll touch on one more detail, and hopefully you'll see why. There's this distributed ownership model, right? So this product manager we've been talking about, they own the product, they're in charge of developing it. But everyone else in your organization, communications, fundraising, et cetera, they have to use that product to accomplish their business goals. So traditionally, let's say I'm a fundraiser and I need something different with the database or a new website page or feature. So then usually you're like trying to navigate between different developers and RFPs, and you're on phone calls about platform upgrades. It's not a great use of anyone's time, and you can't chase down all the details. So in this model, the great thing is, you're the fundraiser, you need a new way to look at your donor database or website, you just go right to the product manager. You have someone a colleague, a coworker you go to, you have a 1-hour conversation about that and go back and forth on requirements, and then the product manager goes running down all these really important detailed paths to figure out the details, and you get to go back to fundraising or communications if you're a communicator, or programs, right? And then you come back and the product manager says, okay, we got 3 options, and here's the cost and the benefits and whatever. And then they go running off and building and testing, and you get to go back to fundraising and so on. It's transformational because it aligns everyone where they should be. Everyone knows who to go to, and everyone gets to focus on their areas of expertise. Okay, when I talk about investment, what am I talking about? So, continuous and meaningful investment. So this is the best way I can describe the product approach. You hear a lot of people talking about products. Well, what does that mean? Well, I think the best example of this is websites. You've probably seen this cycle before. I started to recognize it. Organization puts a lot of time and energy and money into a brand new website. On day one, it launches and everybody loves it, right? It represents the organization perfectly. It's stylish. It looks very today. Within a year, there's a lot of frustrations. In 3 years, it's just an abject embarrassment. 3 to 5 years, and you knock it down and you start again, right? Everybody hates it. And I started thinking, well, at the bottom of that slope, that's the same exact website that everybody loved on day one, right? What changed? And the problem is, it's the same exact website from day one, right? The entire world evolved around it. And it didn't evolve. Your programs changed as the organization. Technology changed. New phones came out. New browsers came out. Everything changed around it, and your sort of happy-go-lucky website from 5 years ago isn't cutting it anymore. The product approach, and it's terrible return on investment, right? I mean, look at the ROI. You spend a ton of money and most of your smiley faces are red and unhappy. It's very scientific. So the product approach says, yeah, okay, spend a bunch of time and money building something great, but then a little bit of time and money and focus on an ongoing basis, keeping your green smiley faces above the line. That's the essence of a product approach. And that's the frame that's got to change. And that means you have to resource it. An ongoing investment of money, yes. But that's, yeah, into the platform, but also significantly in your staff's time to focus time and attention on these products. And that's why we have that product manager whose job it is to never stop paying attention. Okay, I'd like to finish with some hard truths. And actually, some of you recognize that. Let me just say also, we've pulled together a few resources at productteams.org. A lot of times people say, where can we find out more about this? It's sort of in a nascent state now, but you'll see some stuff at productteams.org if you want more details. Let me see if I can go back to the hard truths. So even in the best case scenario, doing technology well is hard. And so I like to be real at the end and say, look, there's some hard truths. One, whoa, hello. Hard truths. One, you're a tech company. Here's what I mean by that. Think about Uber. Uber's obviously a tech company, right? But are they? What do? They move people. They're a taxi service, right? What makes them a tech company is they have a tech product that is essential to the delivery of their business. And if that app doesn't function beautifully, they're screwed. And I would argue a lot of nonprofits and NGOs and social sector organizations are in a similar boat, whether they realize it yet or not. Two, it costs more than that. That's just a truism with technology, right? How much is that going to cost? It costs more than that. There's no finish line, right? The minute you stop iterating and improving on your technology is the minute it starts to die. And that's a new framework that we need to take. That's the product approach. And finally, to bring it back to this idea of loving your technology, you can't delegate caring. This is especially true for organizational leaders, right? You have to care all the way up and down. You can't delegate caring any more than you could say, honey, you take care of loving the kids, and I'll be over here working on my motorcycle. Right? It doesn't work in an organization either. You have to care all the way up and down. And if you do, your organization will care and you will invest. And if you invest, I'm here to say I've seen it. I've worked with many organizations who have done it. You can start to love your technology and be loved by it. Thank you for listening.